I'm Zoë Garbett. I'm a Green Assembly member at City Hall in London, and I recently ran to be the Mayor of London. I'm really, really passionate about people's democratic right to protest. There's a lot of instances where protest has really shown the strength of feeling from the public. It gives, it's a literally recognized human right, as well as it giving people that real kind of sense of coming together with like minded people to know that you're in a group of people that kind of agree with you and want to see a different way of doing things. We've seen mass protests recently around calling for peace in Palestine, and we know that that kind of represents a majority view in the country. So sometimes I feel like people call out protest as a minority event, but it's obviously used many different circumstances for people to really put forward their views about why things are wrong. I think often people miss this as well, that people have usually used all the different ways of trying to change things through democratic processes, as in writing letters to MPs or, doing a petition and all those kind of recognized forms, and still feel like they haven't been listened to. So having an opportunity to peacefully, non-violently protest, exercising that right is essential. So what we've seen from the government recently are more laws and acts that make it more and more difficult for people to protest. They've made it more difficult for people in smaller groups. And I just think all of these ways are just making it harder and harder for people to exercise that right. I think in the context of protesting against the monarchy, it is an increasingly popular view. It is really needed to break a lot of myths in terms of lots of people's views about why we need a monarchy. And I think having a group of people that are representing the view that we need a republic at any of these events is really essential to show that it isn't a view held by everyone, that there are people that don't agree that, we should have a monarchy and we should have a different way of doing things. Great question. I think that having a monarchy as part of our constitution that's an unelected head of state figure completely undermines our democracy. I think democracy should be something that is, decided on, agreed by, and participated by as many people as possible. There should be a elected second house as well. So I think having a monarchy, it completely undermines our democracy. It widens inequality. And I think there's so many myths around why having a monarchy is important. Like, I think a lot of people are worried about the money that the monarchy bring in, even though I think a lot of the time that's kind of conflated with a number of other things. And there's lots of kind of places in Europe that don't have monarchies and still have a lot of tourism. I think a lot of it goes unchallenged. And I think we need to have as many conversations as possible about what a different form of state could be. I think it would take, a public conversation, maybe a citizens assembly, maybe just having a really honest conversation about whether this is the structure that we want to be living in a modern progressive society. Making your voice heard when you've got a strong feeling about something and you've looked at the evidence and there is a number of reasons why. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around what a republic would look like, which I think really showing people that there is a different way of thinking and a different way of doing things is essential. I think all the work the Republic are doing to unpick some of those mistruths around what the monarchy represents for our country is really, really vital. I just don't feel represented or proud of the history of our monarchy. And I just think making people really reflect on how they want our country to be represented, how we want our country to be governed, how our constitution looks, and people being really forefront and pushing for a difference and a conversation around that is essential. Is there any defense for a monarchy or a hereditary peerage system within this country? I don't think there is. I think it totally undermines our democracy and reinforces a class system that we know has a negative impact and really widens inequality. I think we need to look at the land and the wealth that the monarchy hold and look to putting that to a common good.